Hello everyone. So today we're gonna have another book review, and this time it's the book Long Walk to Freedom, and it's an autobiography of Nelson Mandela. This book is probably one of the thickest books I've had to read, as you can see. It's really thick. I think it took me months before I finished this whole thing, but it was worth it. I loved it, especially. I think I cried during the last chapter because it was just really emotional. So as I said, it's an autobiography of Nelson Mandela. If you don't know who Nelson Mandela is, you must know him. So he was one of those people who fought fought against the apartheid in South Africa, and apartheid was a really dark time because they had segregation between the coloreds, the whites, the blacks, and he was one of those people who fought for that freedom. That's why Long Walk to Freedom. He fought for that, to free South Africa from those kinds of ideas and from those kinds of oppression. So it follows his life since his childhood, and then up to after his life, after he was in prison, after he was released from prison, when he was in prison in Robben Island. And Robben Island was a secluded island. It was away from the coast of South Africa, and it was really isolated. So you can imagine how that was for him. And it's a beautiful book because even though it's really thick and it's a really long story, but you can see the character development that Nelson Mandela had to undergo, and the things that he did to fight for the freedom of South Africa and to fight for the right of these people, of his own people. And one fun fact that I learned about here in the book, he sent his kids to an SDA school, to a Seventh-day Adventist school, which to me, when I read it, I really was like, what? This iconic national symbol and this iconic person in history, he sent his kids to an Adventist school, which is amazing. Praise the Lord. And I just wanted to read one thing from the last chapter. I think this is the last. Yes, this is the last chapter of the book. This is the last paragraph also. I have walked that long road to freedom. This is Nelson Mandela talking. I have tried not to falter. I have made missteps along the way. But I have discovered the secret that after climbing a great hill, one only finds that there are many more hills to climb. I have taken a moment here to rest, to steal a view of the glorious vista that surrounds me, to look back on the distance I have come. But I can rest only for a moment, for with freedom comes responsibilities, and I dare not linger, for my long walk is not yet ended. And I think it's a beautiful way to end the book, because if you just see everything in this book, from his days as a lawyer, as his days, in his village, he really, from the get-go, he really fought for freedom, and that's what he wanted. And during this time when he wrote this, there was already freedom. But he said that his journey wasn't ending there. And it was only a moment to rest, a moment to relax. But there was still work to be done. And for me, I think that that's such a beautiful way to reflect too on our personal Christian journey and our journey with God. We have our ups and downs, especially in our life. And sometimes when we are in those situations, we don't understand what's going on, and we don't know why we're experiencing these hardships and why we're trying so hard. But his story is one that is a very long-suffering one. Imagine being in prison for your beliefs, for your country, for so many years in an isolated island. And to me, that's how much he loved his country, and that's how much he wanted to fight for the freedom of his own people. And in our life, sometimes when we go through these kinds of hardships, we don't know why it happens to us, and why we experience this kind of things, and we're trying so hard. But in the end, when you look back when you surpass those things and you look back, you really needed those kinds of moments. And I think in Nelson Mandela's story, we can really see that too. Imagine being in prison for so many years in an isolated island, barely seeing your kid grow up, and being isolated from your family and from your country, from the places you've known all your life, and being rejected by your own country. It's such a sad feeling. But even through that, he persevered, and he fought for it still, for the freedom that he wanted his countrymen to experience. And in the end, we can see that he achieved it, and he helped South Africa be the country that it is today. And for us, God sometimes puts us in these situations that we don't understand why it happens, why it's so hard, it's painful. But in the end, when we surpass those things and when God guides us through it, we can really see that he is still faithful, and he knows what he's doing. He knows that we need those kinds of experiences to be more refined in our characters and to be polished for heaven. So I hope you check this book out. And I know it's really thick, but it's a very interesting book. There's also some pictures inside of his life in Robben Island, his cell, everything, his family. It's a really beautiful book to take a look at one of history's most iconic figures. So I hope you check it out, and happy reading!